Shalom, shalom, most high's peace and blessings to everyone. I wanted to talk really quickly about the Proverbs 31 woman and if every woman is a Proverbs 31 woman, because we know that we are called in righteousness to be virtuous, but we want to, or I want to specifically address the question as to whether or not all women are Proverbs 31 women, and if that is a good thing or a bad thing, or it just is what it is. So I'm sure pretty much everybody's familiar with Proverbs 31, and if you aren't, read the whole chapter. Um, I've covered that before. It's not long. Um, but you pick up in verse 10 in Proverbs 31, where it talks about the virtuous woman, and it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life." And then in verse 13, it goes into specific uh, tasks, if you will, duties that this woman does that is exceptional. It's beyond the everyday regular tasks that a homemaker, or I don't want to say an average woman, but for lack of a better word, average woman would do. She's a businesswoman. She has help taking care of her household. She is making purchases for land, investments, and things like that. And so, realistically, when we look at this, we know that is not going to be everybody's lifestyle, and that's perfectly fine because one, that is not everybody's calling and gifting. And then also, we want to consider the fact that every man is going to need a different type of woman. Some men want women specifically to maintain their household. Some men are okay with women who have businesses or help them with their business, what have you. And then some men, you can work outside the home, whatever it is, right? But everybody's life is going to be different, it's going to look different. And so, no whole group of people across the board is just going to be the same, like, period, straight across the board. Everybody is going to check and tick all of those boxes. So I don't want anybody to feel discouraged, because I used to have that same mindset, honestly, that every woman should aspire to be a Proverbs 31 woman. Because if you look in verse 29, it says, "Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Most High, she shall be praised." Now, in verse 29, there's an acknowledgement that many daughters have done virtuously. And I wanted to go into what that meant, because sometimes we get caught up in a persona of what we want to be or what we think we should be, as opposed to what we actually are. And the ultimate goal is to be virtuous, right? That's the, if you're going to tick a box, tick that box. And so when we look at Hebrews number 24:28, virtuous is defined as a force of means or other resources, wealth, virtue, valor, strength, able, activity, goods, host, might, power, riches, strong, substance, trained, valiant, worthy, and worthily. So there's definitely a great value of a virtuous woman. And that's not to take away from women who are Proverbs 31 women, who are out there moving and shaking and everything, or those who are a homemaker. Because if you've been a homemaker, a stay at home mom, and you know what goes into that. And it's something that doesn't turn off. It's no really vacation days unless you get some help or you're given, those vacation days. But it's a 24-hour job. And depending on the level of, I don't want to say effort, but depending on the level of how involved you in the organizing and creating and producing for your home. And I'll give examples, like as opposed to buying store-bought soap. If you make your own soap, if you make your own body care products for you and your family, if you make y'all clothes, if you grow all your own food, like that's a lot. That is a lot. So, and of course, that's just, small example that I'm giving of those different things. But if you do those things, that is a lot. That is definitely a weighty job. That's why that word virtuous holds so much weight and so much power and is so meaningful. So that's why I said if you're going to tick a box, tick the virtuous box. You may not be doing investments on behalf of your family to purchase houses and lands and things like that. Whatever you're doing, when you're doing it in a righteous, virtuous manner, it holds great magnitude. It is a great wealth. It carries a lot of blessings and abundance and power behind the effort that you put into maintaining your household. Even if you make your own cleaning supplies, just because you want something more natural and organic and healthy. And I know that is not everybody's thing. And so if it is, cool. If it isn't, cool. Like, do what works for you. But I'm just acknowledging the fact that there are some people who do that. Like, they put everything into it, and that's a lot of work. So we don't want to take away from that and make it seem like a woman who is not having her own business or doing this or that is less of a woman or not virtuous, because the scripture identifies that um many have done virtuously, and that was in the list of all the things that I stated. It's just pointing out that this specific woman in Proverbs 31 has excelled them in the fact that they do more, and that's going to be based on what your household requires. It's I like to liken it unto the parable of the talents. One was given one servant was giving I think it was five, one was given 10, or it was three or five and 10. I have to go back and look. And so that each servant that was given that talent, they were given that talent, they were supposed to do something with it. They were supposed to multiply it. And we know naturally as women, we definitely, you give us one thing and we'll make it flourish, produce so much more with it. We'll transform it into something greater when we're operating in righteousness. So when you're given it, like I said, it depends on your household. Whatever talent you're given, or whatever your task is, or your goals are for your family or your house, you just deal with those righteously and make that flourish, and you'll be rewarded according to your work and what you're supposed to do. We would not expect somebody who was given 10 talents to be receive the same reward as somebody who was given 5, right? Because they had more required of them. So their reward is going to be different. We have to focus on ourselves, focus on the Most High first, and focus on ourselves and what we're supposed to be doing, and not be necessarily in competition or trying to compare or anything else. The goal is to be righteous and prayerfully make it to the kingdom, and that's whatever is required of you. You can't worry about what's required of the next person, because you won't stand in the judgment for what that person was required to do. So it's important just to operate in what the Most High has for us, what He has given us to be good stewards over. Be faithful in that and move accordingly. And I personally want to admonish everybody to, specifically because this channel is for women, so I'm only talking to the sisters. It was specifically for the sisters. If anything, to take away the stigma of not being a Proverbs 31 woman, because the goal above all is to be a virtuous woman. If you are a Proverbs 31 woman, like, sis, keep going, pressing, like, do it to the fullest, to the max. Most High be with you. And if you are not a Proverbs 31 woman, yet still a virtuous woman, you have the same thing applies. Do it full to the max. Most High be with you. Um, and above all, let us all seek to be Titus to women as we're going about whatever the Most High has for us, whatever what I like to call God assignment or divine assignment, holy assignment we have from the Most High. We should definitely be living out Titus 2, um, starting at verse 3. And it says, the aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High not be blasphemed. And that absolutely is important. And there's always going to be somebody younger than you that you can pour into, even starting with your children. But it's always going to be somebody that you can reach out to, reach back for, and pull them up in righteousness, pour into them, fill into them, and encourage them, and be a blessing to them, and a righteous example to them. So, above all, make sure sorry, let's make sure that we're doing that, right? That's going to be our focus. And being virtuous, first and foremost. Everything else, most high will be done. Be virtuous and live out that Titus 2. Proverbs 31 woman or not. Virtuous daughter of Zion, go forth and be blessed. Until next video. Shalom.